Snow fell cold on a bitter night. John was gone for the morning light. They blame Karen, but it don't sit right. Too many secrets hid from sight. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back after lunch.
Yep. And I hope you all had a good lunch, got some rest. I was trying to do something. I was actually going through, and it's going to be a super long video, but there are a lot of lawsuits against Game of Thrones for bad stunt coordination. So it's interesting because there's a lot of relevant things like, oh, well, she was incompetent. Then experts come out and say, no, actually, you guys didn't set this up right.
Oh, like did people get hurt?
Yeah, one woman severely broke her ankle and had to have it pinned, so she's no longer able to do stunt work. And I guess there's history of more. I didn't realize how long the article was. I was like, oh, I'll have to two-part this.
Oh, wow. That's pretty crazy.
Well, I do wonder do you think the redirect is going to be really long, or do you think Alessi is going to try to move to the next witness?
I don't know. I mean,
I feel there's some things that need to be tied up or explained more. And I do like how she kind of went through how she did a differential diagnosis with the glass turdlets.
Yeah.
So I do like that because I really think that that's what was needed, because in her direct, she kind of just said pattern recognition. I knew that Hank was definitely going to say, well, there's not, like a logic tree as to how you did this, but her explaining it really helped, along with the potential injuries to the arm, to the radius humerus ulna, and the elbow. I think were really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to Twitter us out too. I'm so bad at this. Baker's great.
Yeah, I just sent did the Discord notification. Let's see. Comments from Legal Eagles that Brennan went too far with bringing up. Yes, Kelly. So they moved for it, but of course, Bev denied it. It was denied. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
not surprising.
I well, I do wonder about that because I wonder at a certain point if there are enough appealable issues, a higher judge doesn't step in. Again, we had this problem with Judge Gold in the Delphi case, and I think it's
Mm,
still being litigated. So the problem with kind of relying on an appeal is it takes years. You have to get the transcripts; those are expensive. You have to get a lawyer; that's expensive, and it's a long process.
yeah,
And MLS, did you already answer that? No. The mistrial was denied, and Hank was allowed to ask questions about DNA. I do think that the doctor's response about him being familiar with the car, so it being, not out of the realm of ordinary that he would have a hair or touch DNA on the car, I think was a good thing. But I don't know if the jury caught it. That's the thing. We're
yeah,
watching, but we don't know through which prism through which they see the case.
that's true.
And I wonder if one of the voir dire questions was personal loss, if you had experienced a sort of immediate personal loss, because I do think that that acute grief reaction will hit people that that have those kind of personal experiences and maybe humanize it. Linda Lou, I will. Where do I watch this trial while you're away? So Marissa is doing yeoman's work and yo ladies work, mostly yo ladies. And she will be running. I will try to pop in and out. I'm going to try to configure my phone to do all the thingies that it's supposed to do with Mr. Mo's help. Oh, you guys, I found the coolest thing. But look, I didn't get a chance to bedazzle it, but it's a selfie stick and it's purple and it has little light dealies. Now I have no idea how the hell to use it, and I'm going to feel like another jackass with a selfie stick being over 14, but I'm going to be with my people, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, expert will have one too, so it fit right in.
You know what is, I was talking to Mr. Mo and I was like, you know what the best thing is about going down to Dollywood and everything is everyone knows me. So if I have a walker, if I don't have a walker, I'm just Mo. And I get
Hmm.
if you have a walker, people out of kindness or curiosity are going to ask. But it's nice to have people that just already know.
Hmm.
I'm that I'm ex- Look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep, with a quiet room. Hopefully I'll have noisy neighbors, squabbling children.
Yeah. Now have two.
What on Rumble? Oh, for the love of Cheetos.
Wait,
I thought
I don't know.
Well, I'm only showing one on Rumble that's live.
Maybe it's
Oh, I see.
Baker.
No, I mislabeled it.
Oh.
So I used the title deal, but I did not. Uh,
Oh, and Anima, we are back to Baker's Rumble should be up too, hopefully.
okay, and I'll change the thumbnail. I was just I thought I changed it, but maybe
I don't
it is
feel like
always
watching that fan on
possible.
two screens. I'm gonna get dizzy.
I know.
But we'll see how long it takes him to actually come back. Um, and let's see, what else have they gotten into? So they the DNA, they got into like the taillight part and the broken bones. Um, those
Yeah.
microscopic pieces of taillight, I hardly believe that those actually cause those
Well, yeah, that
lacerations,
the the
abrasions,
problem
whatever.
is that the state had an opportunity to do all of this testing. And I don't understand why they suddenly got frugal and didn't want to do the testing because they've already paid these people 300K potentially 400. Do the damn test with a dummy, have it back up, do the test. The fact that they didn't, out of either frugality or not wanting the answers, really bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they would have to disclose the results, whether they like them or not. And I don't know. I'm really hoping that we get another witness today. Maybe
Yeah,
Lucky.
I like Dr. Russell, but we are getting into the weeds. I like listening to how she does things, but it's also I would like this trial to end at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I love y'all. I love watching this trial. Well, okay, I don't love watching this trial. I love y'all. This trial is a test sometimes, and it does have its really interesting moments, but it is amazing to me that a simple hit and run case has become this divided, this huge, has this kind of cultural zeitgeist. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely interesting, but I need something new. And I realize it's not TV and we're not really supposed to be entertained, but
Look, I
I'm
want to go
bored.
do the Petty Express with Lori Vallow because she is a pain in the ass. And she's my kind. And on the Petty Express, no offense to anybody, but sometimes we skip ahead if people's voices annoy me or I'm just not in the mood. There are different rules on the Petty Express.
Yeah. The every time I hear I think it might be Alessi who's saying it. I don't remember now. When they say shards, I keep thinking they're saying sharts. And I'm like,
Wasn't there
how
evidence
did the
of
sharts get in there?
either upchuck or shart on his pants? Because if we want to bring
Up,
DNA in, weren't there 5 people on his pants? I mean, or 5 male DNAs?
yeah. But probably all the EMTs and stuff.
Well, yeah, but again, if we want to
All right,
test,
Mr. Alessi, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Russell, we left off talking on the topic of differential diagnosis, and more specifically, we were talking about the lower extremity, the leg, and you were mentioning we reoriented to Attorney Brennan's questioning in the area. Could you please describe for the jury your basis of differential diagnosis with regard to the lower extremities and the leg, and specifically with regard to the autopsy's analysis of that area?
Well, the autopsy doctor did a very thorough evaluation of lower extremities, and to include, the external examination, which is very important, as well as an internal examination of the extremities, the tissues beneath the skin in both legs.
And just briefly, how did she perform that internal examination beneath the skin, to look at what was beneath the skin?
Well, to directly visualize those tissues, she had to open up the skin. So she opened up the skin in the legs from the buttocks right down to the bottom of the legs near the ankle, and then reflected or folded back the skin to examine if there were any injuries to the tissues underneath.
Were there any injuries to the tissues underneath from that examination?
There were no injuries that she mentioned, nor no injuries that I saw on the pictures.
And no injuries, did that include analyzing whether there was any inflammation?
No, you can't tell about inflammation, but I specifically looked at the area adjacent to a very punctate little abrasion on the knee. And I looked underneath of that area very carefully on the photograph, and there was nothing. No injury underneath, no bruising, no hemorrhage underneath that abrasion.
With regard to that, how did you describe that punctate? I want to make sure I got it accurate. By the right knee?
Abrasion.
Abrasion. Could you determine from that even the age of that abrasion?
I could not.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Brennan?
Hank.
Could I inquire about scope?
What the heck?
Why is he wanting to go into scope? He must be wanting to bring something in that they hadn't talked about, but
Maybe it's because Brennan keeps dropping bombs. Wait, really?
yeah, it's yellow for me.
We didn't say anything
Also-
bad.
No, I believe it's the arm. And I've put a look at it thing on there, and sometimes when they review it, they realize, okay, this was more artificial intelligence-y stuff.
Yeah.
Look, Raid Shadow Legend, I am the sponsor. I am the influencer you need for all of your tech. Can you imagine me trying to sell a VPN? Hi, you guys. Surfshark. I don't know how to work it. Mr. Mo does, but it helps you, and you don't get hacked by people who like to play in their computer and look like Neo.
Right. I don't really recognize these people in the. So there's Jess Machado. I got it. Jess Machado. Ted Daniel picking his nose. Is that Turtle Boy? Behind the.
I can't tell. Honest to goodness, I am a terrible person
Reapers?
and going straight to Hades, but the 5-head lady is just drawing my eye every time.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Damn. That's like a
Look, when
skull.
I was like, the first time I saw her, all I could think, and this is terrible, again, going straight to hell in a handbasket, but all I could think was, it's ma'am!
Oh, that's not Aiden.
No, I don't
Maybe he
believe
left
so.
to get his kids. Oh yeah, this lady kind of does look like Bev. Oh, have you seen the
Oh my
Twitter of
goodness.
the anti-Bev Twitter or whatever of the woman that looks like her and then like does impressions? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I've seen that. I so want to take Mr. Mo's CPAP machine, but he actually uses it to like breathe and stay alive. So he's like, no, you may not use it as a prop to play on the internet. And I was like, the things I'm trying to do for our family, and you won't even help. I see how you are.
Oh, Inside Edition. Oh yeah, like they need.
Oh my gosh, who was the? My mom used to be addicted to Inside Edition, hard copy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, all the things about the stars. My mom could tell you 18 steps to Kevin Bacon squared.
Yeah, yeah, I'm terrible with that stuff. I don't even know like celebrities and I know
No,
a
but
couple.
my mom will be sitting there, and my stepdad will say, "Do you remember the guy from The Thing? He did the stuff with the dong or with the dogs and stuff." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's Life with Marley. It has Jennifer Aniston and that other dude." And yeah, she's a walking
Oh,
encyclopedia of all this stuff.
I go to Shax for that. He's my movie expert. He's basically IMDb,
Oh, cool.
but otherwise, yeah, I just have to like.
Nunya.
Have you ever
I
put in like into Google like the guy that looks like this guy and he has like black hair and like see what Google comes up with? And sometimes
I
they're
do
right
that
freaky.
for song lyrics, and it would help if heard the lyrics correctly, because when I actually read the lyrics, now to be fair, I don't think anyone can understand Eddie Vedder. I believe that all
Oh,
the lyrics are a lie, and he is just up there mumbling.
he is. He's just stoned out of his mind.
Yeah.
Oh, Fox News, of course. Of course.
Ooh, which one has the big Fox News hair? Is it the one with the sunglasses? Because they're not doing the skirt cam. I would work for the Fox News, but I'm not allowed to wear high heels. And you try to put a camera near my skirt, I'm a, bop you one.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, there's more coming in. It's the here ye guy, isn't it? Or Jim, the clerk.
Oh gosh, why do
May I?
even
Yes.
shuffle papers usually?
Is the court too loud?
I think it's fine because he's not going to be by the mic, so, or
Yeah.
Linda Lou, okay, I'm 74, I don't understand the channel name.
Dr.
or
Russell, I
watch
asked
this
you questions
file.
about your past testimony regarding methodology.
So, Linda Lou, you can continue to watch on Valhalla Baker or my own stream. We will be trying to pop in chat or on our mobile phones. So you can continue to watch here, but we're going to be in Dollywood, so it will have spotty connection. So you can continue to watch. I hope that answered your question, but if you need something else answered, put it in the chat and I'll try to get it. And then, oh, dear
Brandon.
Lord.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll never forget my prom. Getting ready, and my dad walks up and slips me a condom and a handshake. So gross. He asked me if I had any questions. I said, yeah. Do you have one that's still in the wrapper? Gross.
Oh, Lord. Who is that for? Oh, good. Oh, good night. I've mixed up my chats. It's gonna be very...
And thank you, Universal Truth, for becoming a new member. And maybe that brought up.
And when I asked you those questions and showed you some of your transcripts, would you agree with me that you have testified that there is no recognized methodology on diagnosing dog bite wounds?
No, I believe I said that there was no standard methodology or no standard guidelines as to how to diagnose dog bite wounds.
There is no accepted practice directing you on what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to identify a wound as a dog bite, is there?
There are no accepted standards.
When Attorney Lisi had you look at a couple of case files from the Journal of Legal Medicine, let me ask you about that. You're not suggesting that those articles substitute for the absence of standards in identifying dog bites from photographs, are you?
Before standards are created, there are usually articles that have recommendations upon which the standards are subsequently based.
That wasn't my question, so we're going to listen to the question, please.
Oh,
Those
you.
articles, whatever
Oh,
their
you
value you
butt
think they
monkey.
are, they do not create a standard to apply for diagnosing or looking at a photograph and coming to a conclusion whether the abrasions are dog bites, do they?
Correct.
And so when he had you read pieces of these articles, had Attorney Lisi gone over these articles with you before?
Yes, we discussed them several months ago.
Did he point out parts of them he would like you to read?
I pointed out parts that I thought were significant.
In this article that was marked for identification, parts of it are highlighted. Who highlighted those parts?
Mr. Alessi highlighted those based on my recommendations.
So Attorney Lisi highlighted the parts he wanted you to read to the jury?
Yes, and I believe they were the same parts that I read last time.
Can we have Exhibit 1, please?
Oh, for God's sake.
Now, regarding the...
So much. I said I hate him so much. Let me see if I can put my mic higher. I set it higher.
I can also turn court down. And turn off the booster. All right.
Well, let's see how that works, and I can fix it and fiddle on my end.
Okay.
The Munich article. That was a case study on the unfortunate death of a young girl, yes?
Yes,
Who was attacked by or bitten by up to 3 different dogs.
yes,
And it was a neck wound from which she bled.
yes.
Very, very unlike what you're looking at here.
Yes, but that's very typical of an article, scientific article. They will present a case study and then present the research behind what they have seen in other articles and make recommendations.
I'm not asking you to defend that it's different. I'm asking you if it is different.
Oh, it is different.
Very different, isn't
Yes,
it?
that neck wound, yes.
Extraordinarily different.
Yes.
And so when you read this, let me ask you a couple questions. In this article, it talks about the characteristics of dog bites, doesn't it?
Yes?
And it talks about the maxillary teeth distal to the mandibular teeth allow the so-called scissor bite.
Mandibular.
Yes.
So when the dog clamps down, the teeth kind of go to the side to tear the skin.
I didn't interpret it that way, no.
Did he just say mandibular?
Well, he said mandibular, but since it's a hematuba, I think we're okay with it. Also, this is what happens when you do not understand medical terminology. It is a completely different language.
Right.
Okay. A scissor bite is when a dog bites down, yes?
Yes, I believe that what they were describing was a dog bites down.
And when it bites down, it anchors. That means teeth on the bottom penetrate, puncture, yes?
They can, but they don't always
Giggity.
puncture.
And then the top is a puncture. If you're going to scissor, it requires a puncture, doesn't it?
It's a mechanism. It's a movement. What they're describing is a move. In the way I read it, the way they described it is a movement like a scissor, where it's open and it's closed. It doesn't mean anything about how deep they penetrate.
There are no scissor bites on that wound, are there?
I don't know. I see one or two things that showed up what I think might be upper and lower, so it could be.
Would you define any of those abrasions as scissor bites, Dr. Russell?
We talked earlier about how these marks here may be lower. I'm not going to define it. No, I can't say for sure that there's a scissor bite, but I see things that appear to be characteristics of upper and lower teeth.
I'm asking you about scissor bites. Please listen to my question. There is nothing on that wound that is consistent with scissor bites, is there?
I don't know.
Well, you're the expert. So
Oh
when
my God, I
when
hate
look
you,
at that,
Hank.
Can you point whether there's any
Grief.
wounds
Trying to eat
that
a
are
sandwich. Did you
get
consistent
that?
with scissor bites?
Did you get that
According
clip
to their definition,
for
and that's
scissoring penetration? I couldn't. I had to go off screen or I was
I'm going to pull that down while I read.
All right. Or do you want me to read?
Sure.
Okay, Volpe Fox for $5 on Baker's channel said, jokes, what fruits likes to slide? A kiwi. And let's go. Oh, good Lord. What do you call it when a fruit gets out of prison? A grape escape. Orange, you glad Baker is smuggling grapes to Dollywood? What a wonderful sentiment, and thank you for the super chat. Baker appreciates it because he has to go to Walmart to buy American deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
Axe body
terrible.
spray.
Old Spice, man.
not an
Dakar
accepted
black.
definition, but according to what they were describing, and I believe what they meant was an open and closing of the jaw as the scissor activity. I believe that there's possibly two areas where I see that.
You're now saying this article that you relied on redirect examination is not an accepted authority?
I'm not saying it's not an accepted authority. It is a peer review article.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing. Do you see any crushing or tearing?
David Yannetti swinging on his chair is all of us right now. Like, oh my God, make it stop.
Yeah. This is why I couldn't be a real lawyer, because this face is contempt of court all day, every day. Because Hank would start talking and I'd start doing this thing.
I've gotten
Look at my
really
face.
good at, I've gotten really good at controlling my face because I interview people all day, and now it's on camera, so I have to be like, "You did not just say that."
I'm still back to the scissoring and all. I can't with this. What is he? All right, let's get this over with.
And
Breathe.
tearing. Do you see any crushing or tearing in those abrasions?
There's no crushing or tearing here, but does not mean that there has to be crushing or tearing.
I'm reading your article. I'm just reading verbatim.
And
I'm
I'm-
asking you about it.
Yes, and I'm trying to explain so that nobody gets nobody misunderstands this.
Crushing and tearing that result in characteristic pattern of punctures. A puncture is when a tooth penetrates the skin and there's some depth to it, correct?
Yes.
Show me one puncture, anyone,
There
on
are-
that wound.
Okay. There are no punctures on this arm that I see. However, again, the wounds don't have to have every single characteristic. It is it depends on the force of the bite, how the wounds are going to appear.
The injuries caused involve a combination of biting, crushing, and tearing that results in a characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. There is no punctures whatsoever in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no lacerations in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
There are no avulsions in that wound. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However, in
Wait,
I'm just asking you the
pause,
question, Dr.
Marissa.
So you can maybe ask.
Didn't he start this line of questioning with the premise that this case was entirely different and based on a tragic death of a young child versus John O'Keefe? So everything that they're talking about would only be present on this particular case study. They're giving you sort of guidelines, but it's not going to be exactly. I hate you, Brennan.
We all do.
I haven't even stopped taking most
Specifically,
notes except
This
because they're all
study
just
says
F
the
you.
injuries involve cause a combination, biting, crushing, and tearing that result in characteristic pattern of punctures, lacerations, and avulsions. They name 3 things that are characteristic traits of a dog bite, and you would agree not one of those 3 traits is present on the arm of Mr. O'Keefe. Would you agree with me?
I agree. However, in that case, those were dog bites that killed the victim. In this case, we do not believe that these dog bites killed the victim.
When they were
Very good
discussing this article on the victim who was killed, do you realize when they were giving background, this background has nothing to do with the case study? This is general background I just read. Do you realize that?
They were investigating fatal dog bites.
Do you realize that is not qualified in this article? You realize that?
If
I
you
realized
don't
that they
understand
were
how to
commenting
read-
on fatal dog bites.
So again, this is what I believe the title, if I got it correctly, was Case Study of Fatal Dog Bite or a Dog Bite. So this is case specific. So yes, they are going to give you some general characteristics they noticed throughout all the wounds, but this is going to be very case oriented toward this particular unfortunate baby and, you know, what happened to her, but it's going to give you patterns to look for. Why is he being so unnecessarily obtuse? If I, a fake redhead who spews, you know, nonsense on the internet, can understand this, Brennan, never mind, you can't even dye your hair.
You realize that?
I realized that they were commenting on fatal dog bites. This is not a case of a fatal dog bite.
This article, I'm going to show it to you. May I approach?
Yes.
In the highlighted paragraphs that Attorney Lisi had you read, that is describing the background of dog bites, not this fatal attack. Would you agree with me?
The title of the... No, I don't agree.
I move to introduce this as an exhibit, please.
Mr. Leslie?
She's making it an exhibit. Go. We at the Petty Express salute you. Honorary upgrade to Empress of the Pettyverse Junior status.
In the other article that you read from, that was highlighted as well. Who highlighted the portions you were to read?
Mr. Alessi.
It describes that teeth from a canine create a stab wound-like skin laceration. They can do that, right?
They can do
Do you
that.
see any stab-like wound lacerations to Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
No.
It talks about punctures. And again, we've discussed this. There is 0 punctures on Mr. O'Keefe's arm, correct?
Correct.
You said that when somebody is in a collision, that they can suffer injuries such as bruising or breaks.
Yes.
We've also discussed when a person is impacted by a vehicle, it can result in a variety of different injuries or no injury at all.
Correct.
There's a number of dynamic factors involved that are very difficult to assess and predict, correct?
Correct.
It's
And in this
almost like
case,
you
did
should have
not
had
do
someone
any
test
accident
it.
reconstruction to try to identify the details
Wait a minute, Hank,
of the
didn't you
mechanism
have
of
one of
injury
those
to John
guys?
O'Keefe, did you?
I did not do accident.
I was saying, hey, wait a minute, Hank, I thought you had one of those guys.
He's just trying
Max,
to ask.
Well, I know, but it's so funny to hear him just babble.
It's like asking the librarian what kind of wound this other person has. You're stupid.
Yeah, we need to get to the
And
next
so,
witness.
having not done accident reconstruction, would you agree it's fair to say that you are not in an informed position to give an opinion as to how the injuries could or would have happened in this case?
I disagree.
Specifically, you were asked questions about the impact or collision in this case. How fast was the defendant's Lexus traveling when there may have been an impact in this case?
I understand possibly 24 miles an hour.
Who picked that number?
I have no idea.
Well, you heard it from somewhere and you're just giving an opinion on it. Where is that number committed to or derived from?
I don't know.
Well, if you're going to give an opinion based on what you're portraying as facts to this jury, you should have some certainty about the source of your material, shouldn't you?
You know, I'm an ER doctor, so in the ER, I've treated thousands of motor vehicle accident cases. And most of the time, I do not know what speed the vehicles were going at. I've never done accident reconstruction. I don't know any ER doctor that does accident construction or is trained in accident construction. It's not part of the job.
I totally agree, but you're having opinions you're giving on behalf of Mr. Alisi, and that's why I'm pressing you on these issues.
Sustained.
Do you know, you don't know the movement of John O'Keefe before any potential strike or collision, do you?
I don't know the movement of most of the patients I've seen in my life before or immediately after the impact.
Of course, you wouldn't know the body angle because you weren't there.
Right.
So when you're asked to give an opinion whether this was a clip
Dick?
or a direct strike, you're really not in a position, having not been an accident reconstructionist and not having been there, to give that type of information, are you?
I wasn't asked to give an opinion about whether this was a clip or a direct strike. I was asked to give an opinion about with these wounds caused by a motor vehicle collision.
So you would agree with me, you are not in a position, based on your opportunity to view evidence and your experience, to give an opinion about what injuries would have occurred in this event.
No, I disagree.
And so you think you can give an opinion about the extent of injuries, even though you are agreeing, not only you're not an accident reconstruction expert, you have no idea about the details of the collision in this case, Dr.
Idea?
Russell.
Mr.
Is
Brennan.
that true?
I have no details about the collision.
About what happened during the collision?
Did
You
you
have
just call
details
him out
about
by name?
The body movement, the placement, the speed. You don't have any details that you know of other than what was told to you, correct?
Sustained.
There are dozens, hundreds, thousands of motor vehicle accidents in which there are no lower body brakes. Fair to say?
Probably, yes.
You mentioned bruising. What do you do to treat for a bruise? If someone's going to have some type of pressing
Well, he
and
did
the
have
bruise
cold on
before it really
him.
forms, what's the best way to treat it?
Well, it depends on the bruise. It depends on the location. It depends on whether or not there's continued bleeding in the soft tissues. It depends on whether there's compression of the blood vessels and or the nerves underneath. And then, and of course, you want to examine adjacent structures for fractures and other injuries. And then after all that, if you've ruled out major, other injuries, you treat the patient for pain.
You ever prescribe ice?
Oh yes.
So if a person was lying
Okay, pause it,
prone
Marissa.
in the cold winter on the front yard,
All right, if Hank copies me one more time, I'm quitting the stream. I don't want to think like this man. First it was the shrubs, now it was my jackass comment about ice. I swear to God, I don't want to be on the same wavelength as this man. But I don't want to be on Doink's level, so is there a level between Hank and Doink that I can achieve?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not liking today. I don't like being on the same wavelength. That's
was lying prone in the cold winter on the front yard on the dirt and was being covered by snow, sub 32 degrees, and the body temperature were to drop from 96.8 to about 80 degrees, would that have a similar effect to ice on the area that may bruise?
Not exactly. You want me to explain?
I do.
Okay, yes. So as the snowflakes fall, yes, there will be a gradual lowering of the body temperature and gradual effect on the body. Now, as opposed to an ER or in a medical setting, if I or another practitioner, and by the way, nurses and nurse practitioners and PAs also treat dog bite wounds. But if another practitioner, a practitioner gives the person an ice pack, they get immediate coldness and immediate significant change in temperature to that area.
Assume the weather is so cold that the cell phone battery on someone's iPhone begins to plummet regularly in degrees.
I have no idea.
The objection sustained.
When you came to your conclusion, considering what you see in this picture, and Attorney Alisi was asking you about fragments from a broken taillight, did you know
What?
or consider that Mr. O'Keefe, sometime around when
Bless
he
you.
incurred these wounds, had a piece of glass stuck in his nose?
Sustained.
Finally, Dr. Russell, you said during your
Okay,
differential
thank you.
diagnosis you consider information, you either weigh it, accept it, or you distinguish it and you disregard it, correct?
Yes, generally.
During your differential diagnosis, you've referred to a number of different people studies, things that you haven't done yourself, but you've looked at other people's efforts. One of the things you looked at was the deputy medical examiner from the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces, a person by the name of John C. Walsh, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Do you like me to ask that again, Dr. Russell?
No, you don't have to ask it. I read that report, yes.
And John C. Walsh is a doctor, correct?
Yes, that's what it says.
And do you have any understanding that he works with the Forensic Pathology Investigations Division of the Armed Forces?
Yes, and therefore his practice may be limited in scope.
Well, you are trying to qualify what he doesn't do. Do you know if his practice is limited in scope?
Typically, the medical examiners that work for the armed forces often have a specific practice that is limited in scope.
Do you know anything about Mr. Walsh?
He didn't
and his
expect
practice?
her to say that.
Why do you find the need to try to undermine the extent of his authority before you know anything? Why is that important?
What is
Sustained.
his...
You don't know what his scope and practice is, do you?
No, but I always look at where the person works that writes a report in terms of physicians
And
and what their possible experiences are. You know, do they work in a medical examiner's office in Alaska or Hawaii or a big city or a little town? I look at those things.
When you considered his opinions after his review of these materials, did you consider when he offered in his report that multiple abrasions ranging in size from 2 to 3 millimeters up to 7 centimeters were documented on the decedent's right arm?
Yes.
These injuries do not photographically appear to be, nor are described as puncture bite wounds, and thus are highly unlikely to be the result of an animal bite attack. The abrasions are non-specific. Abrasions occur as the body moves over a blunt or rough surface such as a skinned knee. Did you read his report and consider it?
I did. However, I don't know if he's ever had any experience with dog bites examinations. So I had to consider that and weigh it.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't think that went as well as he thought it did.
Dr. Russell, there were questions with regard to highlighting of articles. Did I determine which parts were to be highlighted, or did I merely perform the function of highlighting the parts you wanted me to highlight because you didn't have a highlighting function with you traveling from California?
That is correct. It's the second one.
With regard to these articles, you mentioned a methodology in connection with them, and a pattern recognition methodology. Was it the purpose of citing this article to say that they're just like this situation, or was the purpose to say that there is a methodology in the literature to determine how to determine whether a wound is from a dog?
Objection.
Sustained.
Alessi, what was that question?
Dr. Russell, what is the purpose? Let's just start with the Munich article that was talked about, because these articles were discussed. What was the purpose of you citing to those articles?
The purpose was to identify that pattern recognition is an important component in identifying wounds, and particularly in dog bite wounds. It did not mean that the victim had to have every single characteristic that was listed, and it just was focusing on things to look for. And the patterns, it was not just that there's one individual wound that's going to be diagnostic, but that there are patterns for the physician to look for.
In terms of, Attorney Brennan asked, and so now with regard to the Pollock article, in terms of the Pollock article, is there any discussion in this article about whether the spectrum of injuries to which you can apply the mechanism in the methodology, is there anything in there about whether the pattern of injuries can be diverse or whether they're all the same? Does Pollock speak to that?
He does.
And what does Pollock say? about whether or not the spectrum of possible injury forms when you apply this methodology can be diverse. What does he say?
Well, he mentions about the actual surface of the body that is impacted, if there's any curvature to that surface, if there's any structures underneath that would affect the bite. So yeah, those are, and if there was material or textiles or fabric that were in between the bite and the skin, and there were other factors too.
Okay, thank you. Now, lastly, what I'd like to cover is Attorney Brennan discussed the Dr. Walsh. May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay. Did you show Mr. Brennan?
He's the one who gave me it.
Okay. I didn't know what you had.
Yes, thank you. So may I hand to the
Oh
witness?
God, is Hank gonna come back up after this?
Probably.
I can't handle the re stuff.
May I stand here, Your Honor?
Yes, could you step back a little bit?
I mean, direct the cross, not the. Damn it.
Dr. Russell, what I would like to do is to give the jury a fair representation. I'll withdraw that.
Commentary that I can hear.
Why don't you bring the reports over?
Oh, good grief.
Oh my God. This is fun until about 3 o'clock, and then it just gets tedious.
Yeah. Imagine how they feel.
Well, I think all three of everyone except the grieving weirdo has one of those stadium seats. Patty. Again, if I'm her husband and she's here every day for a guy she went on a date with a couple years, like 20 years ago, I'm filing for divorce.
Mm-hmm. This is brutal.
Yes.
What did he just show her?
So I think he wanted to get the entire background. So I think Hank cherry picked, but I think another paragraph will say, these are the kind of wounds that you could expect to see in dog bites. But he cherry picked that, oh, she is divorced. Ryan, is it Rain or Ryan? I'm always terrible at this.
I think it's Ryan.
Okay, well, I don't want to mispronounce people's names, but I get all jumbly. Sarah, the grieving weirdo is a woman who I think briefly, and I mean very briefly, dated John 10 to 15 years ago. And she walks around with like his badge number on her necklace. She's been at court every day, and she did a People article where she was holding like his picture. So, as a real widow, I call her the grieving weirdo.
Yeah. Well, it is very weird.
It is.
She's like one of those like sympathy whores.
Pretty much. I really wish she'd find a convict to write. She feels like the person who would like date a prisoner.
Yeah. It's not a bad.
Allegedly in Minecraft. This is just my headcanon and wild speculation. I don't need a cease and desist from the grieving weirdo.
Well, you didn't call her by name, so.
True, but I'm probably going to get a cease and desist for the grieving weirdo.
Whatever. Get over it. Right? She did make John's death about her. Like, as if she was there the whole time. Ouch.
Well, and that's the thing. If you really do experience this kind of loss, for most people, it isn't like something. I shared it with you just to kind of give you the perspective of why I never counted what Karen said against her. But
Rian,
thank you.
I was wrong.
Also, I must be very popular because now that I'm not using Facebook, everyone wants to be my friend, but I don't know not one of these people.
Yeah. Not my crowd.
No. Besides, I've made my Facebook pretty private because, when I started this, I didn't realize how many kiddo photos I had out there. But they didn't choose to be on the internet being weird with wigs.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Russell, I am re-handing you this letter from Dr. Walsh. And what I am going to do, and you just tell me if I do it correctly, I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs, okay? And you just tell me if I'm reading it correctly. In totality, the injuries documented in the autopsy report and photographs are non-specific and may be the result of a variety of different mechanisms. No additional information was provided regarding the possible circumstances or events surrounding the death. The absence of additional information prohibits the attribution of injuries and contribution of findings to a specific underlying cause of death. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Dr. Russell.
All right, Dr. Russell, you are all set.
Thank you.
Thank you, God.
I'm going to have this marked for identification.
Thank you.
And let me say, Dr. Russell looks beautiful in green. That is her color.
Thank you.
Oh, but she looks like she's not comfortable. And I'm glad she got to get out of that stupid chair and away from
Yeah.
stupid Hank.
And the next witness is who? Who's the next witness?
If I may, Your Honor?
Yes, just tell me the name because I need to know whether we need to go to sidebar first. Okay, thank you.
Did he say Cineros?
Officer Barrows.
Oh, okay. I need to get my hearing check, apparently.
He's the Dighton cop.
Yeah, he was the one that said it was cracked, right? Like a center crack, not...
And they showed him a picture of the taillight completely busted, and they're like, no, that's not how it looked at all.
So you're gonna step up, face the front, and raise your right hand.
You promise me the evidence you give to the court and during the case down here and truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And it's probably got a whole
Good afternoon.
load of poop from it.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you are all set.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
Could you please state your full name, spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Nicholas Barrows, Barros.
And where do you currently work?
The town of Dighton, Dighton Police Department,
How long have you worked for the Dighton Police Department, sir?
since 2011.
And what's your position there currently?
Currently, I am a sergeant.
What's your duty assignment as a sergeant? What do you do?
I supervise the 4 to midnight shift.
We'll get to that in a little bit more detail in just a second. A couple of more foundational questions. How long have you been a police officer altogether?
Since 2011, so going 14 years.
And what education and training and background do you have that qualifies you to do your duties as a sergeant, a supervisor at the Dighton Police Department?
I completed the police academy. I hold a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I've been to many trainings as a police officer and as a supervisor.
When did you get your bachelor's degree?
2012.
Is the Dighton Police Department an autonomous police department for the city? In other words, is it a branch of, say, for instance, Massachusetts State Police, or is it an autonomous department?
It's on its own.
Okay. It's not in any way connected to the Canton Police Department, I presume?
Correct.
Is it in any way connected to the Massachusetts State Police
It
Department?
is not.
As a supervisor, are part of your duties to oversee subordinate officers in their daily fare, whatever that may be?
Yes.
Does that include anything having to do with crime scene investigation,
To an extent.
witness interviews?
No, that would be the detective bureau.
What about working and coordinating with detectives?
To an extent.
Collection of evidence or working with detectives as they collect evidence?
They would collect evidence.
Maintaining crime scene protocols, things of that nature?
Correct.
All right. As a sergeant with the Dighton Police Department, are you a trained observer?
I am.
Would you consider all of your subordinates, the patrol officers, day-to-day officers, are they also trained observers?
They are.
Is that part of policing?
It is.
Describe that a little bit for the jurors so we understand.
We are in the police academy. We're told to watch everything. It's our heads on a swivel. We are always looking because we don't know what the unknown is.
When you say you don't know, Is it true that you don't necessarily know what might become relevant later
Correct.
that may be needed in court?
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to January of 2022, a few years ago. January 29th, 2022, did you have any, you personally, officer, did you have any personal relationship with the Canton Police Department?
I did not.
Did you have any personal relationship with a trooper from the Massachusetts State Police named Michael Proctor?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a person by the name of Brian Higgins, an ATF agent?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a Boston police officer known as Brian Albert?
I did not.
Did you know any of the witnesses or individuals involved in an ongoing investigation related to the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe?
I did not.
On January 29th, 2022, did you receive some sort of a call to respond to a particular location? I don't want the address of the location. We'll get to that in a second. Did you receive some sort of a call in the afternoon?
I did.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
Around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a call from the troopers assigned to the Norfolk District County
Ernie's mom,
DA's
this
office
is an
in
officer
regards
that
to a
noticed the
vehicle that was
headlight
at a residence in the town of
cracked,
Dayton.
not broken.
What were you asked?
Right.
Wasn't he one of the first people that was on the scene when the car was at Karen's parents' house to locate it and get it?
So
On the-
on the way to Karen's parents, Proctor and who else was with Proctor? Probably
Was it
Buchanan,
Buchanan?
because they're always together.
Yeah, weren't they holding hands? That way Buchanan could say he was the leader
Yes, exactly. And
instead of a power bottom.
they called the Dighton police because it was in their jurisdiction that they were coming to seize a vehicle, probably in case there was any like pushback or whatever. So they had an officer there to, I don't know, assert dominance or whatever police do in that situation.
Well, and probably to make sure she didn't touch anything,
Right.
that it stayed. The problem is he's a bit honest.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Hellfish Haven.
What happened?
He snorted milk out of his nose when I called Yuri a power bottom.
To do? Why did you get that call?
The troopers said that they were coming into my jurisdiction, and as a courtesy, they wanted me to respond with them.
Is that sort of normal protocol? If you go into somebody else's jurisdiction, you
Just
let them know?
that.
Yes.
So that was not necessarily
my
unusual.
words.
No.
About what time did you receive that first call?
The first call was around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Was there are logs kept of those kinds of things? If you get a call, you respond
Yes.
to location?
Yes.
At some point after you received that first call, did you receive any other call specifying a time of arrival for the MSP troopers, anything like that?
I did.
Describe that for us.
I got a second call around 3 p.m. From Trooper Michael Proctor stating that he was about 10 minutes away from the address in Dayton.
At the point that you spoke with Michael Proctor, had you ever spoken to him in your professional or personal capacity ever before?
Never.
Did you know the name? Did you know who he was?
I did not.
Complete stranger.
Complete stranger.
What time did you actually arrive at the residence?
I arrived at the residence, I believe it was 3:27 p.m.
Sergeant Barrows, I don't want the address, cameras are rolling. Did you respond specifically to a residence in the city of Dayton?
Yes,
Did you at that time know who lived at that residence, who resided there?
I did.
How did you know that?
Early in the shift, when I came on at 8 a.m., the midnight shift, the outgoing shift, had told me that a resident of Dayton at that address had called looking for a ride to Brockton Hospital.
Who did you know at that time, or who did you believe at that time to live at the address that you are now responding to?
William Reed.
That was Reed, R-E-A-D?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know anything about his daughter at that time, or did you just know the name William Reed?
I just knew William Reed, the
Okay.
name.
At the time that Michael Proctor called you, did he say anything about what his intentions were once he arrived at the location?
Yes, his intention was to retrieve a vehicle that he said was involved in a homicide.
Did he specifically say to you at 3 o'clock-ish in the afternoon he intended to seize the vehicle?
I believe the first phone call, that was his intention.
Meaning all the way back to 2:30?
30 is when he first called me and said that they were coming to Dighton to retrieve a vehicle that happened. That
Didn't they still think it was
occurred in a
domestic at
homicide
that
in
time?
Canton.
And you understood that to mean what? Retrieve a vehicle?
Seize.
Thank you. What was your role once you arrived at the scene at the Reed household?
My role was Trooper Michael Proctor asked me to facilitate a tow, to tow that vehicle.
Was that a private tow company?
Yes.
And when you say facilitate a tow, what does that mean?
He asked who we used for towing vehicles, and during that period of time, it was Diamond Towing.
Did Diamond Towing ultimately show up, a representative of that
They did.
tow company, with a tow truck?
Correct.
A flatbed?
Yes.
Until they didn't take pictures of it.
Who was with Trooper Proctor when you arrived at the scene?
Sergeant Buchanan.
Had you ever met Sergeant Buchanan before?
Never.
Did you know him?
Nope.
Did you know him professionally or personally?
Never.
Had you ever spoken to him?
Never.
Ever? I'm so sorry. It's getting late in the day, and I guess I'm going too fast. Sorry, my fault.
Oh, he's so sweet.
Let's start that just a little bit slower. Did you know him?
No.
Had you ever spoken to him before?
No.
Had you ever heard his name before?
No.
No relationship whatsoever.
None.
Same with Trooper Proctor.
Correct.
And I don't want to now.
Once you arrived at the residence, did you have an opportunity to see the vehicle that was the focus of Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's attention?
Yes, once I arrived and I parked my cruiser at the end of the driveway, I observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
What were you driving?
I was driving a Ford F-150 police cruiser.
A police cruiser that's a Ford F-150?
Correct.
They have those?
Yes.
Cool. Were you in full uniform?
Full uniform.
Gun back, the whole works?
The whole works.
Full uniform. Like, do
Did
they
you
have
ever
a
go
casual
inside the
Friday where they
house?
get to wear jeans?
Briefly.
What was the circumstance of going inside the house?
I went inside to let the troopers know that the tow truck operator was there. And I also went in to ask how we're going to get the tow truck into the driveway because there was about a foot of snow.
Okay. That sort of answers my next question. Did you see whether or not Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan actually did go inside the residence?
Yes, they did.
For the bulk of the time that they were in the residence, where were you?
Outside the residence.
Were you with the black SUV?
I was in the garage speaking to the defendant's mother.
The defendant's mom?
Yes.
Janet? Okay.
Yes.
Where was the SUV at this point?
In the driveway.
Did you have an opportunity to see the SUV?
I did.
Did you walk all the way around it?
Not all the way around.
Did you see the rear end of it?
I did.
Ooh.
Did you make note of the
that
rear end
movie.
of it?
Yes.
How long would you say you were at the location in a position to observe the rear end of that SUV?
The
2
whole-
minutes, 20 minutes, something in between? Longer?
I would say not the entire time that I was there, but a good amount of time.
It was facing in.
More than a glance.
Yes.
This is the afternoon of January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Before the vehicle had been seized formally by Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe anything of note about the rear end of that black SUV?
Yes, I noted in a report that there was damage to the taillight,
Can you describe for the juror, by the way, which taillight are we talking about?
the right rear taillight.
Can you describe for the jurors what you noted in terms of the damage to the right rear taillight?
I noted that the report said that there was right rear damage to that taillight.
When you say damage, have you ever described that damage previously?
I have.
Can you tell us what that
Yep.
description is?
There was, it was damaged, the taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing, but it was not completely damaged.
When you say there was a crack, do you mean there was a piece missing?
A piece was missing.
Can you describe for the jurors kind of what that piece looked like, how big it was, how small, the shape, as you recall it?
The piece was about maybe this big,
Is that maybe the size of a dollar bill, maybe 6 inches?
6 inches.
And
or so.
how wide?
Maybe that wide, maybe 3 inches, 2 inches, somewhere
Okay.
in there.
I want to show you a photo. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to
No, it is a good thing.
show Exhibit 13. It's been previously marked. Do you see what's depicted in this photograph?
I do.
What does that appear to be, just generally?
The right rear tail light,
Of what?
the Lexus SUV.
Is that consistent with the black Lexus SUV that you saw at the Reed residence?
That was the black Lexus. That was not the tail light the day I was there.
Boom!
Can you do me a favor, Mr. Wolk, with the court's permission? Could we zoom in on the right rear taillight, please?
Okay.
Are you absolutely certain?
Do you see the condition of that taillight as it's depicted in this photo?
I do.
Sergeant Barrows, is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
What's different about this photo, sir?
That tail light is completely smashed out.
Does it appear that there are additional pieces of taillight that are removed from this taillight condition than when you saw it at the Reed residence? Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Of course. Describe specifically, other than the fact that it's different, describe in detail for the jurors what is different about this taillight as it's photographed here.
That middle section was intact when I was there. Towards that right side where that large chunk is, that's what was missing.
I'm going to hand you a green laser pointer. If you can, there's two displays, one monitor directly in front of you and one to your right.
Brennan's
If you
not-
use
or,
the one to
yeah,
your
Brennan's
right,
not
it's a little
objecting.
easier on the jurors. Describe what's different about that taillight.
Can you see that? So this area was intact. This is what I saw was missing here.
May I approach?
Yes.
If the
wonder how
entire
Brennan's going
taillight
to
had
attack
been
him.
broken out as it's depicted in this photograph, would you have made note of that? Do you believe you would remember if the taillight, well, let me ask it a different way. The piece that you saw missing, but not completely damaged, is the reason that you use the phrase not completely damaged to highlight the fact that there was still more taillight attached to the vehicle than is depicted in this photo.
Sustained.
Why?
Take this down.
I think it's leading because it's kind of telling him you want him to answer yes.
As you sit here,
He's been leaning
as
the
you
whole
sit here and
time.
recall back to that, your observations, and you observed this for over the course of how long would you say? How many minutes?
Probably 20 minutes or so.
You actually wrote a report about this, correct?
Correct.
And you documented your observations, correct?
Correct.
In your documented observations, did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged?
I did not.
Sustained.
You've testified previously,
I have?
about a year ago.
Yes.
Did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged then?
The objection sustained, Mr. Jackson.
Ultimately, was the black Lexus SUV towed and cleared from the scene?
It was.
Is it your responsibility or part of your responsibility to log the time that things like this happen, like for instance, the SUV is taken away?
When I clear from the scene, yes.
What time was that when you cleared the scene?
I believe it was 4:17 p.m.
Suffice it to say that SUV was not seized at a later time, correct?
Correct.
It was not seized at 5:30 p.m.?
No.
I'd like to show you another exhibit, if I could. This is Exhibit 105. Do you recognize this scene generally?
I do.
Do you recognize it as being, what do you recognize as being?
This is the Reed residence.
Do you see some vehicles in that still shot of the video?
I do.
Describe what you see.
That tow truck is Diamond Towing, and that other vehicle that's at the rear of that tow truck is the Lexus SUV.
If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in. It's high on the screen, correct?
What's that?
The vehicles are high on the screen as we're
Correct.
looking at it. Could we zoom in to the top left portion of the screen?
Okay.
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you see what's depicted in the still image of that video right now?
I can.
I'm going to ask you if you'll turn to your right, concentrate on this area,
Spackle.
this area here.
Yeah.
Do you see what's depicted in that still image?
I do.
Does that appear to be a taillight?
Yes.
Does it look clear? Does
I
it
was
look like it's
wondering if Hank was
shining
going to
red?
say it was snowy or snow.
It looks clear.
The portion that is intact, does that appear to be bright red?
Correct.
And the photograph that I just showed you a second ago, is that red portion there?
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Let's go back. You see the red?
Yes.
All right. Is that the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th around 3:15 or 3:30 when you got to the location?
It was.
Let's go back to the other exhibit, please. Exhibit 13.
Zach, if you're back, report.
Can we zoom in, please?
Yeah.
The Plevin.
Can you see that this entire area is now...
Is he okay?
I can.
Does he need aloe?
Ask if
It's just
you-
gaslighting.
The area that I'm circling here.
living
in conspiracy land with Turtle
King.
No.
Is that consistent, this photograph consistent with the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th, 2022, at just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Lights, please. Thank you. Mr. Brennan.
Thank you.
Just his blood. Right? The blood in the snow.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Have we met before?
We have not.
Do you still work in Dayton?
I do.
At the time you went to the Reed residence, you did not know the occupants?
I did not.
Since then, have you ever met or spoke to
Shut up.
William Reed
Nope.
or the defendant?
Nope.
Nice try.
When you went there that day, it was at the request of the state police?
Correct.
When they asked you to come, it's a typical procedure for one law enforcement agency to contact local law enforcement agency?
Correct.
And part of the reason they do that is to bring in separate and independent law enforcement officer to the scene?
Law.
Yes.
Because it's your jurisdiction?
Correct.
And they called you before they got to Mr. Reed's house, didn't they?
Yes.
They told you what they were going to do and when they were going to do it?
Yes.
They didn't just show up at the Reed house and then you found out later. They invited you and informed you what the process was going to be.
What are you
I wouldn't
getting
say
at?
that they told me what the process was going to be.
When you got there, were the troopers already there or did they arrive after you?
The troopers were there.
Were they in the house or outside of the house when you got there?
They were outside in a pickup truck.
Did you see them get out of the pickup truck after you got there?
They got out after I identified themselves.
Did you ever see them approach and touch the rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Did you ever see them manipulate in any way that rear tail light of the
Nobody's saying
defendant's
that.
Lexus?
I did not.
Did you
That's,
see
they
them
didn't do it in
anything
front of
that
Karen's
was
house in
suspicious,
Numpty.
inordinary,
What a
or
bellend.
unfairly remarkable relative to that car?
I did not.
When they spoke
Listen, I know Proctor and Yuri are really stupid, but do you think they did it right in the driveway in front of Mr. Reed's Ring camera? I mean, come
Oh my
on, you
gosh,
numbnuts.
what is? He's such a absolute numbskull.
Mm-hmm. Schmuck.
to you, they then went
Meshuggah.
inside the house.
What do you mean by spoke to me?
After they introduced you, introduced yourself to them, they went into the Reed house,
Yes.
and then they came out.
They came out much later.
And that vehicle was towed.
Correct.
At no time from when you got there until you left did you see anybody from the state police in any way tamper with that vehicle, did you?
I did not.
When the vehicle was towed, do you know how long it took to take the vehicle from Dayton back to Canton?
How long?
Yes.
I do not.
You didn't escort it back.
I did not.
You had an opportunity to write a report in this case, didn't you?
I did.
And when you did, you had an opportunity to describe the damage to that taillight in any way you wanted to.
I did.
You could have gone into detail about size of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the shape of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the width of the damage.
I could have.
You
Careful
could have
here,
taken
Brennan.
photographs
Length and
of the
girth?
damage if you wanted to.
I could have.
In fact, there was no limitation on what you could have written in your report regarding the damage, was there?
No.
You write reports regularly, don't you?
I do.
If you're trained at the academy, it's the best way to memorialize events.
Oh, shut up.
Because in time, your memory is not always as good later on than it is at that moment.
Sir. Are you really one to lecture anybody about how to write a report?
Yeah, he's a little bit slow. And I think we've got a super chat from Volpe Fox.
Yep.
It says, we are all red-white colorblind, apparently. Yeah, pretty much. Although some of those number questions are really hard because the colors are very similar.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, this guy is, Hank is going to try to gaslight this jury again.
Hank has to be very careful because he kind of has made, police service a sacred cow. And you can't use that as a shield and then go after a cop who has actually done his job when you have cops who can't throw stones because they're absolutely late in French, as Baker would say.
Yes. Well.
Correct.
What might be important or remarkable later might not be remarkable at the time you're making the observation.
Correct.
So you're taught at the academy to use as much detail as you can so that you can have an accurate memory later on.
Correct.
Because oftentimes, well, you respond to a number of different events and incidents, don't you?
I do.
Should have just
You
left
write a lot of
it alone.
reports.
Not necessarily now in this position that I'm in, but
Did you at the time?
at the time, correct.
Yeah. And so it's sometimes difficult to remember the details of all events, and you use the report to refresh your memory.
No.
When you wrote your report, and you could have put as much
You're not
detail
going
as you
there.
wanted, is it fair to say you only wrote one single line about the damage to the car?
Correct.
The vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
That's what I wrote.
Fair to say you didn't document that it was the size of a dollar bill? You didn't say that, did you?
No.
Or
Well,
that it
he
was
also
3 to
didn't
6
take
inches? You
560
didn't
days
mention
to
that,
write
did you?
it.
No.
You didn't mention the placement of where the damage was?
Come on, Jackson, bring that in.
To an extent, I did the right rear tail light.
Right rear taillight. You didn't indicate if it was on the side or on the back.
I did not.
You didn't provide any other details of your description when your memory was probably at its best. True?
True.
And would you agree that your memory that day was probably much more accurate than it is today?
I would not.
When you wrote the report, did you ever have an opportunity to write a
It's the same
supplement
thing Jen
report if you
McCabe
wanted to,
said.
if you wanted to give more detail?
I guess I could.
You didn't.
I did.
Inevitably, you were
Here.
a witness at trial. I'm sorry. You were a witness at a prior proceeding in this case, weren't you?
Correct.
You came in
Nice
and you
one.
swore under oath regarding your memory.
Correct.
And that was probably a year to a year and a half after you first made the observations which you reduced in writing in the police report.
Correct.
And when you made those observations, that was on January 29, 2022?
Correct.
When you came into court and you testified, that was on June 10, 2024.
If that was the date.
You were asked questions to use your best memory to describe
I
the
haven't seen it,
damage
Farrell.
to that taillight last time you swore under oath to tell the truth, weren't you?
I don't think I was asked that.
But were you asked about, to describe the best you could the damage to that right rear taillight last time you were in court on June 10, 2024?
I don't think I was told to describe it in depth.
Were you asked questions about the damage to that rear taillight last time you were in court?
I was.
And when you described the damage, did you do your best of your ability to give as much detail as possible?
I did.
Did you qualify your memory at that time, saying to the best of my ability and recollection?
I did.
And when you qualify as a police officer with the best ability and recollection, that is recognizing that time had passed,
Time has passed, yep.
that you had a report, that you could refresh your memory.
Correct.
And did you refresh your memory with that report before you testified last time?
I did.
And when you qualified that it was to the best of your ability and recollection, that account for the fact that when you looked at the report, there was no detail other than your commentary in your report that the vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
Correct.
And so when you qualified, you were considering human factors like time had passed,
Correct.
that your report was respectfully scant,
Correct.
that you had heard a lot about this case since that point, hadn't you?
Correct.
And so considering your memory in June of 2024, when you qualified your answer, was it considering all of those different factors that had passed in between that time?
Can you rephrase that?
Yes. When you decided to qualify your answer, and you said to the best ability and recollection, and then you went on to describe what you remember from the break of the taillight, is the reason why you used that qualification to the best ability and recollection, is it because of those human factors that had passed?
I would suppose so.
And sir, since the time you came into court on June 10, 2024, have you spoken to anybody from the defense about this case?
Yes.
How many times have you spoken to somebody from the defense about this case after you gave your testimony on June 10, 2024?
Once.
Where did you speak? Who did you speak to?
Attorney Jackson.
Did you speak to him in person or on the phone?
In person.
Okay, don't. Okay. You're not hesitating, are you?
No.
Where did you speak to him in person?
At his hotel.
How did you know where Attorney Jackson was staying?
He told me.
Did you find it odd to go visit an attorney at their hotel and talk about a case?
It was in their conference room.
Find it odd.
It's not like he took him to his boudoir.
About a case.
No.
Oh, for God's sake.
Without saying the name of the hotel, where was the hotel located?
Boston.
And where were you located?
I don't feel comfortable telling you.
I'm sorry. Did you have to drive?
I did.
So you took the effort to go to see Mr. Jackson?
Wait a minute,
But you know who
pause.
Mr. Jackson was?
I did.
You seen him on TV?
I did.
Okay, I'm wondering if he's getting a lot of blowback because he's not comfortable giving out his address. And I wouldn't be either. I mean, again, he has the only contrary opinion as a police officer. This is probably not a comfortable thing for him. And Hank, being the douche he is trying to get him to dox himself.
So you took the effort to go to see Mr. Jackson at his request. Did you know who Mr. Jackson was?
I did.
Did you see him on TV?
I did.
When you went there to the hotel in the conference room, who else was there?
Attorney Little.
Okay. Who else?
I'm not sure of the other gentleman's name.
It was it one of the gentlemen right here on the end?
The,
The good-looking one down there on the right?
no, it was not.
Who did he? The good-looking
Somebody
one.
else?
Somebody else.
Okay. Was there anybody else there?
No.
When you were in that conference room, were you shown your police report?
No.
Were you shown your testimony from the last time you came to the court?
No.
The photograph of the vehicle in Sallyport, or the vehicle with the missing glass, were you shown that?
No.
Had you ever seen that photo before?
Of course.
And you saw it at the last event you testified at, right?
Correct.
And when you were shown that photo during your prior testimony, you never, ever, ever suggested that that was in any way different than what you had seen in Dayton.
Nobody asked me that.
When you were asked to describe the damage, and you were shown that photograph, you never, ever suggested that there was a difference in the damage as you see it in that photo compared to what you remember, did you?
I don't think anybody asked me to describe that.
Did you ever make a note or say anything that is dissimilar to what you remember at the last event that you testified at?
I testified that that was not the taillight the day that I saw it.
That's what you testified at the last event?
Did.
Yes?
Yes.
You said that photo does not depict what you saw?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
And when you testified to that at the last event, who was asking you that question?
District Attorney Lally.
Okay. And you remember making that comment under oath?
I do.
Do you remember that as well as your memory about what the taillight looked like back in Dayton?
I do.
When you were asked questions about that taillight, you had described the taillight as not completely damaged, it was cracked, and there was a piece missing but not completely damaged. Remember that testimony?
I do.
And is that accurate testimony?
It's accurate.
So, in your memory, in June 10, 2024, was that vehicle's rear taillight had a piece missing, correct?
Correct.
You said that your memory about the damage to the taillight, as you recall it when you were in Dayton back on January 29, 2022, you said your memory is as good as your memory that you said in court there was a difference between that photo and the damage, right?
Right.
You keep asking the same question, yet expecting a different answer. I am confused.
Have you ever read your testimony from your last proceeding?
Never.
But you have a specific memory of discussing that specific photograph? Yes?
Yes.
Shoot, I'm talking to myself. I was muted.
Well, I was wondering if you were talking or you were on a phone call, so I didn't want to ask or say you were muted.
I'm annoyed.
Yeah, Hank he's treading a fine line. Again,
Your transcript of sworn testimony on June 10, 2024. And when you reflect on your memory...
He wants to punch him too.
You've testified that your memory of distinguishing that photo is reflected in your testimony, right? Yes.
So ask the question differently.
Okay. Your memory is that you discussed the distinction between that photo and what you saw at the last time you testified. Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
And as you take a look at there, could you show me anywhere in your testimony? Anywhere.
He said there was a piece missing.
Where you made any statement about that photo being inconsistent with what you saw in Dayton on January 29, 2022.
They didn't ask, you turd monkey.
this is what I don't like about Hank at all. Again, if he had the facts, I would be fine. I have come into this case saying if the state could prove that Karen did it, I'd be okay with it. The problem is he goes around it and does such slimy, incomplete, out of context things that it really pisses me off. He also is the male Sarah Boone, I have decided, after someone pointed it out to me. So it's not my thought.
Zach, I'm going to need you to report a little bit further on that.
How are they doing? Do they need help? Should we send Cheetos? And Hot Pockets?
Not that I'm going to send them anything, but...
No, I do like how he's being very meticulous in reading this because he knows how dicky...
It's not in there.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Also, why did they print them with stuff on the back? Can they not afford more paper?
So respectfully, sir, your memory about distinguishing
Say
that
it.
photo
Say I wasn't asked.
is not as you thought it was and claimed it was in this transcript, correct?
Correct.
And that's not a matter of you trying to fool anybody or lying, is it?
No.
Don't
No,
be a
it's a
dick.
matter of time passes and memory fades. Yes?
Yes.
And that's one real example why at the academy, they teach you when you write reports to be as detailed as you can. To accommodate the fact that memories can fade, right?
Correct.
Memories can change.
I know what I saw, and that wasn't it.
Well, that's not what I'm asking you. because
Gaslighting you.
just
He's
testified
gaslighting you.
that on the
Yeah.
road,
Also,
Gaslighting you.
Simp,
look at that photo and
Simp
distinguish
Hank makes me want to throw
it.
up.
That's not accurate, is it?
No.
We know your memory's okay. It's all right. We know you're a little special. Can't write. Use crayons. It's so condescending,
Yeah.
and it's such a gaslighty. Like, we know you're not trying to lie. I mean, one of the witnesses had a fake Fig Newton memory, so we understand. And a lot of our witnesses have lied to the feds.
Yeah.
Accidentally, on purpose.
I am boosting the sound because Hank
Okay.
can't find a microphone, so watch your ear holes, peeps.
Oh God.
I know what I saw, and that wasn't it.
Well, that's not what I'm asking you, because you just testified that on the road, you had looked at that photo and distinguished it. But that's not accurate, is it?
No.
And so it's not a matter of you perjuring yourself or lying, it's a matter of difficulties with memory, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And
Correct.
you
You just
share those
suggest
same
perjury?
difficulties with memory as many other witnesses.
Funny.
Objection.
Sustained.
You have, as is human nature, difficulties with memory at times, correct?
Correct.
And so that very certain memory you had about your testimony last year, fair to say that never happened.
Correct.
You were simply mistaken, weren't you? Or something more, please tell me.
Correct.
You're such an ass, Hank. You have made an oath. If looks could kill.
When you met with the attorneys in Boston, what'd you talk about?
It was just a way for them to meet with me and see me face to face, and then ask me how I would be subpoenaed, who would they need to send a court summons to, what my schedule was like coming up in the next month, months.
Those things all could have been accomplished by phone, correct?
Could have.
So the face-to-face...
What is the
meeting,
absolute
what'd you
douche canoe?
Objection,
I'm going to allow it.
over here. What'd you talk about? Excuse me.
So that, okay?
Over here.
Wait. Did he say, excuse me, objection? Again?
I think he said, may we approach?
Yeah.
Okay?
Over here.
Huh.
A court summons to, what my schedule was like coming up in the next month, months.
Those things all could have been accomplished by phone, correct?
Could have.
So the face-to-face meeting, what did you talk about? Objection,
I'm going to allow it.
Over here. What are you talking about?
Excuse me.
So that, okay?
Over here.
What?
So I think Hank was like, so I think the witnesses,
Over here?
this is my speculation. I think the witness's attention was on the objection, and Hank was like, this isn't an objection.
Correct.
We're going to keep talking.
Oh.
Ask me who.
Yeah, like he was like, no, over here, pay attention to me.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But again, I'm not in the courtroom. He is acting so unprofessionally. I will say that I never expected a lawyer to say that to a witness in that kind of snarky tone. It's also so demeaning and disrespectful to say it to another man, in my opinion, especially a man that could take you and bend you like a pretzel, Hank. I'm just throwing out there that man has dagger eyes for you.
And then we go to fan.
You told us there was some background about being subpoenaed and time. Substantively, what did you talk about with the attorneys when you met them at their hotel conference room?
Other than that, they didn't go over my testimony. We just spoke about that I said that the taillight was not completely damaged.
Okay. Did you get into any detail about the conversation about your testimony today?
No,
When did you meet with them?
I don't have the date.
Last year, this year?
I don't have the date. I don't recall the date.
I'm not looking for a date, just the general year frame. Last year, this year?
Probably June. Early in this year.
Are you having some difficulty with memory about that as well?
Shut.
You
A
dick.
certain date, yes.
Not a certain date. Was it this year probably, or do you think you met them this year?
This year.
Do you know what month you met them this year?
I wouldn't know the month.
Years.
Certainly you talked about this issue with the taillight, didn't you?
Need
Yes.
to look at my
When you talked
calendar.
about the issue with the taillight, did anybody from the defense offer you any opinions or information?
No.
Did they ask you questions about it?
No.
So you went to a meeting at a Boston hotel in a conference room, and nobody talked about the taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
They
Sir,
just
I'll ask you another question instead. Have you had an opportunity to see other evidence of that taillight being damaged that morning before you saw it?
on the 29th of January? No.
The video that was shown to you with the tow truck, had you seen that before today?
Yes.
Who showed it to you?
From seeing it on TV and
Was it shown to you during your conference room meeting at the hotel?
it was not.
So you've looked and studied and watched this case a little bit?
With all due respect, sir, I don't live under a rock. It's kind of it's all over social media and the news. You can't avoid it.
I'm not criticizing you or discounting you.
Yes, you
Have-
are.
Yes, you
Have you
are.
been exposed to this case since you made those observations indicted on January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other video footage and evidence about that taillight since January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other information since you last testified last summer about the taillight?
I have.
And seeing this extraneous information, this other information, do you think that played a part in some of your difficult...
How would it change it?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Okay?
Yeah, please approach, because that was a stupid question.
And Kelly, DD, I am not sure of places. I've got a hotel very close to the meeting place, and if there's a trolley and I don't have to drive to Dollywood, heck yes, I will be your trolley friend. But not your, yeah, That could go really wrong if I said what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 2 gals on a trolley, and I was like, wait, that could be bad.
Yeah, I'm sure somewhere, along, somebody would misconstrue it. Oh my gosh, it's not even Monday.
Awesome sauce, JKD Bug. One day I'm gonna look elegant and put together like Karen.
You've seen quite a bit of information about
We'll
this
never be
case,
there.
the issue regarding the taillights since you first made the observations back in 2022. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
Would be fair to say.
And based on all the additional information you've read and seen, would you agree it's had some effect on your memory?
No.
I guess.
No, I don't want you to guess. You testified that you made explanations at the last trial that you didn't make, right?
Correct.
You had a memory as you testified in direct examination under oath, and you tried your best about things that just didn't happen, right?
Right.
Would you agree that you have some difficulty with your memory?
I'd agree.
No.
I want to
No.
show you
Come
some
on.
evidence of that taillight before you had a chance to see it in Dayton. If we could have the ring video at 5:07:58, please.
Oh, sure. Let's put that in their minds again. Go ahead, dummy.
Where are you going with this, Hank? Is anyone else confused?
Have you
I
seen
am.
this video before, sir?
I have.
Oh, God, not the
Before you
terrible
proceed, I'm
aperture
sorry.
video.
Have you seen this on social media?
The news, social media.
Has anybody else shown you this video?
No.
How many times do you think you've been exposed to this video?
Shut up.
Too many to count.
Because you were involved in this case, and I'm going to say as a predicate, there were no orders for you not to look at anything. I'm not suggesting any impropriety. But because you were
Yes, you
involved
are.
in this
You
case,
absolutely
issues
are.
regarding the taillight, do you think you had a particular interest when things like this came on TV and social media to take a look to compare it to your memory?
Did I have a
Yes.
particular interest? No, I didn't follow this case
But you've seen this many, many times.
because of what is out there on social media and the news.
I understand. Please play this, please.
Rip my earbuds. My ears.
Stop, please. Do you see that white part of the back rear right taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
You see that? Sir?
Can we zoom in a little bit more? I can.
You can or cannot?
I can.
You can. C-A-N can?
Yes.
Thank you. Continue, please.
Oh, you can spell.
Stop it. Can you bring it back, Ms. Stone? Back more. Open, right there. Zoom, please. You see, sir?
That's a crack. That's not all of the red piece gone. Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, I know
I can
it's-
see that.
Is that consistent with the damage that you saw when you looked at that Lexus in Dayton hours later?
Consistent.
Can we go to Exhibit 10, please? And before you show it, I have a couple questions. This was a snowstorm, kind of like a blizzard that day.
Yes.
So when you
Oh
got
my
to the
God,
driveway,
he's
it
bringing
had
in
not been
snow.
shoveled or plowed.
Correct.
There was quite a bit of snow accumulating and ongoing.
Yes.
And there was snow coming down on top of everything, the ground, the streets, the cars, correct?
Correct.
and snow was accumulating, did you notice, on cars and packing onto cars?
Yes.
When you looked at this house, when you looked at the defendant's Lexus in Dayton, you didn't go over and scoop out any of the snow that was in that broken taillight, did you?
I did not.
You didn't try to remove any snow off it or that was accumulated inside of it?
I did not.
And the snow that was, there was snow packed on that car, wasn't there?
There was.
There was snow packed around the light, wasn't it?
There was.
And would you agree with the snow, since you didn't tamper with it or try to remove anything, that could impede your ability to accurately observe the depth of the damage? Would you agree with that?
I would.
If we could have Exhibit 10, please. Does that appear to be the same Lexus you looked at when it was in Dayton? And it's a far view, so I don't want you to guess. If you're not sure, you can tell me.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can't.
Okay, Exhibit 11, please. Can you take a look to the right? You see that right tail light, the white part?
I can.
Missing, yes?
Looks like snow is packed on it.
Does it look like there's a red tail light there?
Does not.
It looks like there's snow. You can't ascertain whether there's a taillight or not.
Do you know that, or you wouldn't know that?
That doesn't look like the Reed's driveway.
Do you know if this photograph was taken before or after you made your observations in Dayton?
I do not.
The right rear tail light and the missing parts of it, is that consistent with what you saw around 3:27 on January 29, 2022?
Yes.
I have no further
That is a
questions.
really odd picture.
Lights on, please, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief.
I don't think that really.
It didn't do a lot for me because
Sergeant,
I mean, we've seen it before, but I mean, our eyes are not seeing things.
no, and that's the problem. Again, if the state had the facts, I have no dog in this fight. What the problem I have with this is underhanded tactics and the fact that I'm thinking like Brennan and now I have to take a boiling hot shower and bathe myself in holy water and Purell.
Yeah. Yeah, that was John's driveway, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it is kind of curious that the snow is very packed in that area.
Yeah, I mean,
Again,
I think that was when they were doing the wellness check and the car was
Yeah.
still there. They were doing the wellness check on the kids, and that was the dash cam footage. So, yeah, he just said that doesn't look like the Reed's driveway. That's
also, why use the... Okay, so the aperture footage, I find it very blurry and not good to look at. I get why he is using it, but it doesn't show things in correct color value. So to evaluate whether that tail light is actually, fully intact, you need to have it in a normal color value to where you can actually distinguish that. And
yeah, I don't think that's fair.
but it's Hank, and we expect nothing less.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jackson was ready for this. If I can think like Hank, I'm sure Jackson can think like Hank, which probably makes him feel bad.
did you celebrate your birthday 2 years ago?
I did.
Kind of a big deal. It's your birthday, right?
Yes.
What day of the week was your birthday 2 years ago?
No idea.
You have a difficult memory, sir?
Yes.
The fact that you had a birthday, you recall, correct?
Correct.
The day of the week of that birthday may fall by the wayside in your mind, right?
Right.
Sustain this to the form, Mr. Jackson, is
Of
your
course.
witness.
The fact that you can't remember the day of the week, does that mean that you have a bad memory?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
Correct.
You remember being in Dayton, correct? Being called out to Dayton to the residents of the Reeds.
Correct.
Do you remember the time?
I do.
Do Do you remember the weather?
I do.
Do you remember who you met there?
I do.
Do you remember the conversations that you had?
I do.
Do you remember the phone calls that you received?
I do.
The first one?
I do.
The second one?
I do.
Do you remember being in the garage and speaking with someone?
I do.
Do you remember it was this lady, pretty lady right here in the blue?
I do.
Do you remember meeting Mr. Reed?
Aw.
Briefly.
Handsome gentleman with the gold tie?
I do.
You remember all that? Right? Do you remember the SUV?
I do.
Do you remember the condition of the taillight?
I do.
You were asked whether or not you saw Trooper Proctor in any way manipulate that right rear taillight while it was out at Dighton, while you were there, correct?
Correct.
You said no. Honestly, I never saw him touch it, right?
Correct.
Were you in the Sallyport in Canton PD? I'm sorry, in Canton, in the Sallyport, at the police station
I wasn't.
at 5:30 p.m.?
Sustained.
At any point, did you ever go to the Sallyport at Canton PD that day?
I did not.
Do you have any idea what did or didn't happen inside the Sallyport?
Objection.
Sustained.
You were asked by Mr. Brennan, you could have taken photos had you wanted to, correct?
Correct.
And certainly you could have, right?
Correct.
Was that your vehicle that was being seized?
No.
You were simply there to assist another officer, right?
Objection.
The form, Mr. Jackson.
Of course. What were you there to do?
Just to assist another agency.
Would it have been normal protocol for you to photograph that vehicle?
No.
Did you see Trooper Proctor photograph the vehicle?
No.
Did you see Sergeant Buchanan photograph the vehicle?
No.
Did the tow truck driver? For the love of God, tell me that.
Yeah, I would think the tow truck driver would want to make sure that he isn't, dinged for anything.
By the way, you and I did meet once before, correct?
Correct.
Was that before or after you testified last year at another hearing?
After.
And you were called by whom last year at the other hearing? The defense or the Commonwealth?
The Commonwealth.
You testified for them?
Correct.
So that's stricken, it's beyond the scope.
Did the Commonwealth ever contact you after your testimony at the hearing last year?
They did not.
Did they ever call you on the telephone?
After?
Correct.
No.
Did they ever send you a subpoena?
No.
And you testified last year that the taillight was cracked but not, or damaged but not completely broken, correct?
Sustained.
Ew.
You and I met in a hotel in a conference room, correct?
Correct.
Anything sketchy or nefarious about that?
No.
Did I introduce myself to you?
You did.
You happen to know I live in Los Angeles?
Correct.
I don't have a house, right?
Correct.
I don't have an office out here, correct?
Sustained.
Do you know whether or not I have an office?
I do not.
Do you remember me asking you if you would mind meeting at a hotel where I was staying in a conference room?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any problem with that?
Nope.
Did you find that unusual?
No.
Did we scissor a little bit? Allegedly.
Did you and I ever speak, ever, before your testimony last year?
No.
Did I ever tell you how I wanted you to testify?
No.
Did I ever tell you what to say?
No.
Did I show you any testimony?
No.
Did I play you any video?
No.
Did I show you a single photograph?
No.
During that conversation, did you tell me how to subpoena you?
I did.
Did you tell me where the subpoena should be directed?
I did.
Did you tell me your vacation schedule?
I did.
Did you tell me your availability and willingness to testify?
I did.
Did we talk about any other thing of substance other than that and whether or not you recalled what your testimony was from last year?
That was all we talked about.
Eat that, Hanky.
As you sit here, Sergeant Barrows, do you have any difficulty recalling what the condition of that taillight was on January 29th, 2022, at about 3 or 3:15 in the afternoon when you saw the vehicle? Any
No.
difficulty whatsoever?
No.
You remember the condition of that taillight?
I do.
Was the condition of that taillight the same as the photo that I showed you on my direct examination?
No.
That's all.
You would agree that your memory has changed since last time you testified in this courthouse?
I
Yes.
hate you.
In the photo I showed you, the close-up with the missing right rear taillight, is that consistent with your memory of what you saw
That
in
wasn't
Dayton
fully
on
missing.
January 29, 2022?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it. It was opened up.
No evidence.
It was opened up.
Is it consistent with what you saw on January 29, 2022?
It is.
Thank you.
All right, Sergeant, you are all set. sir.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Well done, Carly.
All right, so jurors, I know I need to talk to the lawyers about a couple of things, so this seems like a good spot to just send you home for the day rather than bringing you out witnessing. So those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be careful with your social media. Remember, tomorrow's a half a day, we'll finish by 1. Okay? Thank you.
All rise for the court, please.
Tomorrow's a half a day?
Those who follow me.
I guess so. So what did you
Well
think
done.
about the last witness?
I mean,
I'm
I think he was a good witness. I still think he was honest. I think Hanky tried to mince words and gaslight him, and just dumb. Oh wait,
they're doing an argument, I believe.
Jurors exit the court, please be seated.
So there have been some motions, I think, piling up. Two I have not had a chance to read yet, maybe more. Commonwealth's motion for reciprocal discovery, and then the defendant put in writing about the discovery from Aperture. I've not had a chance to read the prosecutor's opposition. I'd like to do all that before I hear you on that. But the only one that I did read is the reciprocal discovery. Ms. Giannetti, are you examining both Brian Loughran and Karina Kolakithis?
Yes, and there are 3 issues that I believe we should dispatch with today.
All right, so why don't you, sure, I have time, I just don't know what you're talking about.
May we approach Sidebar,
Sure.
please?
ugh. My goodness, that's a big old box of stuff. Let me see if I can speed ahead through this. I don't think I have much. Well, cool that we get a half day tomorrow, but
Yeah. Well, that means I only have to set up one Rumble stream, so I'm kind of good with that.
yeah, I'm
Also-
wondering if there's more they need to argue and that she's planning on, but probably not.
Well, again, isn't it your job to read these motions? This trial is currently ongoing. Don't you need to read those motions in a timely fashion?
Well, I think some came in today.
Okay, because I know there was one for sanctions, I believe, from the Commonwealth for
Oh, was there?
lawyering.
Oh, yeah. Well, Hanky needs to sit on a cactus about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think he'd find that fun.
Oh, of course, yeah. What a mess. So,
I don't know. I think that the defense did a good job. I do think Hank got a couple of snarky, smarmy things in. And I guess today kind of depends on which lens you look it through. Because you could say for the Karen Reed, I think that Dr. Russell did a good job explaining everything and, really being knowledgeable, but easy to understand, and explained a lot of the things. I think that the taillight witness, I wish he would have held his ground when Hank was pushing him on his memory. But I think
Yeah.
that Jackson cleaned it up pretty well. But I think it depends on the lens because, if you are anti Karen Reed, you're going to say that Dr. Russell was a quack who is, inserted herself into the case and wanted to get famous from it.
Yeah. I missed it. I was like doing something else. Did Zach give us an update on what Doink
I
was up to,
don't,
or Plevin?
I haven't seen it, but I will say that it's taking a bit of getting used to cover all the chats and Rumble. So I might have missed it.
Yeah.
I And then Baker's also checking Twitter all the time. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I had Twitter up, but then I had to start doing work. I can't stop yawning. Whew, sorry, everybody. I probably just made like how many? 191 people yawn. Sorry. But it is. I don't know. I think it would be great if they got Michael Easter in because I feel like that door's been kicked open. Michael Easter is the cop expert on what an investigation should look like.
I really like that Dr. Russell also kind of went basically along that line and said it's a bad investigation. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yes. I very much agree. And yeah, that's one of the things they need to argue about is the Michael Easter. I think it would be great to get him back in because
Well, we kind of need an independent, for the defense, I think you need an independent sort of observation of how an investigation is supposed to work. Because we're all aghast because we've seen good investigations. And maybe that's a good point to bring someone in because it seems like Canton, at least, has never had a straight, untampered with investigation.
yeah. I don't know that I don't know if I agree. Maybe. I mean, it really depends on how they felt going into it, I think.
Well, and
I don't know.
not to dismiss, I think optically, I think the way that Hank went after Dr. Russell is not going to play well for a lot of people. Now, for the anti Karen Reeds, I think it's really going to play well. He was tough with her. I'm not sure how the jury is going to interpret that. I think she held her own, but I don't think they're going to like that he was rather aggressive and he isn't matching energies.
No, I don't think he has high emotional intelligence.
Well, the board can only do so much.
This is true. I think he's just, I don't know.
Oh my
I
God.
think he got shoved into a locker a lot as a kid.
I just got an image. Thank you, imagination. I just got an image of Hank letting loose and doing country line dancing. Not gonna lie, hilarious. I wish I could animate things.
Yeah. Ew. I don't think I want to see that, actually. Like anything jiggling on him.
No, it's more of a very cleaned up. He's got his Wranglers very pressed, belt buckle shiny, very creased, new looking flannel shirt. Possibly suspenders. Definitely suspenders.
But yeah, I think. Yeah,
Did Yannetti steal his girlfriend?
What's that?
I said, did Yannetti steal Hank's girlfriend like a long time ago, like right before prom?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Andrea, have you ever seen the video of Hank going, oh my God, I need this in my life?
That's real?
Hank on a harmonica?
Where's that?
Oh my God, where has this been this entire trial? We need that for our intro, outro, and sidebar.
Speaking of which, I've got to find if I even have an outro video. Talk amongst yourselves.
Pick a topic, any topic. Beaches is my favorite. It's not Bob, but you know, it's Bet, and we respect Bet.
I swear I had one. Now I don't know where it is. It's everywhere. Like, is it on? All right, Hank, Brennan, harmonica. Oh Jesus.
This might make my day because I've got
I mean,
updates to stories that are not good. So I
I
need
can't.
something happy.
I don't think I can play the music, but
Silent Hank is probably the best Hank, let's be real.
yeah.
Oh,
Can I blow this up?
oh
Why is it getting?
dear giblets. He is at a church open mic. Also, Hank and
That's
he's
funny.
so damn awkward. Poor guy. If only you were nicer, I'd feel bad for you.
Yeah. Well, I may be wrong. Only prosecution witnesses get memory gets better over time. But if you're a defense witness, Hank must point out that your memory is faulty. Yeah, I agree there. Yeah, he is used to blowing some hot air. Can't believe he goes to
He
church. Yeah,
no, he's just
Plus,
very
I'm surprised he
awkward.
doesn't burn up walking in.
Yeah, it's like something doesn't connect to him, and he really doesn't understand how he appears to other people.
Yeah. Oh crap!
Oh, redirect.
Now
Baker's
my
always
Zoom is
reminding
set
me.
to. Now my oh, I think that was it. I don't.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, they ended the stream. So that's all.
yeah, I think
So
I the problem is I do like when we have Baker and Valhalla because I feel like you and I can kind of see all sides, and then usually other people have really strong opinions. So it kind of works that I'm just kind of like, well, I can see it this way or I can see it this way. Again, like every trial, like every jury, depending on the lens and your own personal experience and everything about you, you are going to notice or see different things. And that's why
right.
people should not project how the jury is looking or doing things, because in the long road, being mean to Dr. Russell, is that going to change my vote when I look down at everything if I think she's guilty? No. It's not a good look, but it's not going to change it. So,
Yeah.
but
And
I think the acute grief reaction was really good to get in. I think
yeah.
Dr. Russell Hank was unintentionally asking questions that really bolstered a lot of the defense.
Yeah. I agree. He does that on everyone. Um, which is annoying. I'm downloading the outro at the moment.
Woohoo.
It takes
I like
forever.
your new outros. They're cute.
Yeah. It's kind of fun to have a different one every day to break it
Yeah,
up a
you
little.
know what I wish lawyers would do, and I think would be imperative, is you need to almost have, and I'm saying this in all seriousness, almost a drama class. How to read your audience, how to match energies, how you appear, how to, present yourself, your posture, things like that. I think that would be immensely helpful because I think there's a disconnect and maybe that isn't taught. I've never been to law school.
Yeah.
But
I know a lot of people who have, but
there is a difference about how lay people perceive things, and I think that's often a lens that maybe lawyers forget.
yeah. Well, I think trial lawyers are probably a little bit have that kind of lens for it. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to like put all of my knowledge of this case aside.
Well, and I think that's the problem. I think we've become pretty close to it, which is why I tried to take a step back, but then I can't I can't ascertain to myself which side looked better because I can generally argue all sides.
Yeah. Yeah,
Believe
exactly.
me, Mr. Mo hates it. I'm trying to make a decision and he's like, okay, let's pretend that nuclear stuff didn't go off. You don't probably need to worry about that. And I'm like, okay, but in the event, do you think these AirPods would work still?
Exactly. Oh, well,
Now I'm trying to decide if
sad.
I'm going to be good Mo or bad Mo, and I'm going to listen to the trial on the drive down, or I'm going to listen to one of my Smuxy books. Have not decided.
I don't know, man. I would save yourself.
I'm also going to be driving on the freeway, which is something I don't do because I'm married. Look, I know it's probably not a big thing to most people, but I got married so I didn't have to drive on the highway. Like, that's the one dude job, and taking out the trash. I mean, we don't have so much gender roles, but those are the two things I refuse to do as a woman.
Yeah, I don't know. They took out the trash last night just because it needed to go.
Well, I get tired and eventually the Jenga game must stop.
True. All right.
Ooh,
Well,
new one. I love
actually, before we go, do you have anything coming up? I would embiggen
it.
you.
Let's see. I'm probably going to do mornings with Mo, and I'll have a couple videos that I'll have scheduled. There is an update that will be coming out about the father and the girls. But other than that, I will probably try to hop on when I figure out configurations with hotels and stuff. Look, y'all, I'm going to be my own tech support, so this could either go really great or Mo's in a corner drinking vodka and crying as I light my laptop on fire. So there is no in between there.
So you're leaving tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
it's about a 5-hour drive and I'm planning to take breaks and, be handy capable.
Perfect. Well, have a safe trip.
Thank you. And thank you for streaming and holding down the fort. We appreciate it so
definitely.
very, very much.
And Jamie should be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll have, hopefully, Jamie.
And I should have figured out my selfie stick and I'll be one of those annoying people that's like, come with me to the park. And then people are looking at me because I'm going to be with my walker and my... I never thought I'd buy a selfie stick, y'all.
Oh, my.
And thank you so much, KDP, for being a member of the Church of Mo for 10 months. I so appreciate it. You guys are letting me have fun. I haven't had a kid-free trip in 4 years, and before that it was 16 years.
Oof.
I love my kids, but quiet is fun too, just for a change.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm out of here. I gotta go get my kid. You guys have a great night.
You too. Yep.
It says, roses are red, violets are blue. My wife is a whore. Your husband is too.
Awkward pause.
Sorry about this.
Oh my God.
What in the name of
Message,
all
we need to
dams?
talk, Mike.
This is a terrible time for my computer to be slow.
Hey, stepsister, what are you doing?
Oh my God.
brother,
Trucks down the block.